So I think I've been going about this all wrong. Yesterday I assumed that right there was going to go in flawlessly, but then I remember that nothing on this truck goes flawlessly, minus, for some reason, installing a turbo and starting up the first time. I can't believe that worked. But now it doesn't start at all until that gets back in there. So we're going to see what is wrong with that. Or, in turn, what's wrong with that makes that not work. Now, I did test that away from the car. Sorry, it's like 8 in the morning. I'm still kind of tired. When that's out of the car, it works perfectly fine. And I got 2 YouTube comments on a short. That's new. I didn't think anyone watched these. But I got 2 YouTube comments saying that it needs to be shimmed and that the Bendix could be going out. But this is a brand new starter. It just doesn't look new because it's been jammed in there so much. It's already, I mean, look at it. It looks like it's 10 years old already. Been heavily abused. Not returning that. Now, I've been, running around in circles. After the video ended yesterday, I spent another 6 hours diagnosing that. So I've got a few different things to try, and one of them is going to be shimming it, like the YouTube comments told me to do. But the other one is going to be quite a bit more intensive, and it's going to be running new lines for it, because it works with jumper cables from the battery to that. That's why there's jumper cables out here still. But when it's in the car, it doesn't work. It just pops and clicks, like something is not getting enough current to engage it. So on that note, so as you can see, this guy has a positive hooked up to the positive on the starter and a ground hooked up to the block. This block here, that is actually your ground. This is your ignition. So when you ground something to this, first things first, it's going to make a lot of sparks. So don't do this with something like a shim. Where's my wrench at? I had a wrench somewhere. You're going to put this here and you're just going to... And as you can see, it clearly works. Nothing is wrong with the starter itself. Now that we know for sure that the starter itself isn't the issue, I have a feeling it's this area right here, because this is where your starter is going to ground to the engine block. But as you can see, there's a ton of oil down here from an oil leak that I kind of only partially fixed. So that surface is really bad and gross and grimy. And because of that, the previous starter was failing to start. I think that's entirely what my problem is. But, you would think just those 2 posts there would be enough to get it to ground. But we're not going to do that. We're going to clean that. I'm going to buy like 8 cans of brake clean and spray the crap out of the truck. Now, full disclosure, I do not recommend spraying brake clean where there is going to be electrical, because brake clean is explosive. It's basically, I mean, you use it to start cars all the time. It's starting fluid. It's gonna... If you don't clean it off, it's going to ignite and you're going to have a bad day. So be very careful when working with brake clean to clean things that are not brakes. Alternatively, you could just get like something like Dawn Power Washed, but that stuff's too expensive. It's out of my paycheck. Can't be doing that. I had to do some shopping, and it is now 94 degrees outside. So instead of playing it safe and just not working on the truck, I'm going to get heat stroke today. Whoop. I love my dog, but he kind of dumb. Like, he'll sit here in the shade because he knows it's cooler in the shade. But his water's up there. And I had to, bring him over to make him drink the water. Ooh, that smug little face. He knows. He knows. Bought 2 cans of this stuff, so I'm not going to use it conservatively. Everything that can be brake cleaned will be brake cleaned. Yeah, that doesn't look healthy. It's kind of gross. Technically, this stuff is engine degreaser, but this is going to be really good for my situation because a lot of my mess is just gunk that's on the engine block and transmission casing, so that'll be a lot nicer to get off. I'm going to hose this all off now so I don't die of super cancer or something. Now, there's a few approaches I could take. I could wait for this to dry, or I could ignore the water and dirt and grime and dust. Considering it's 94 degrees outside, I'm not going to take the chance to ignore it. Never mind, that's right there, ain't it? Maybe we'll just ignore that part and come over here where we need to be. So that I think is what's causing us issues, is that we're not grounding to that properly. But I mean, this is also going to cause us issues. Look at all the goop in here. I will say, it is just generic O'Reilly's degreaser, but it worked pretty well. It does have a smell to it, though. Like, there's definitely some form of brake clean in there. I wouldn't put it past them. Now, considering that it's 94 degrees out, I'm not going to record a ton of this process, because if I die of heat stroke and have to call an ambulance, this phone, that's all I have. So I don't want it to overheat, and I don't want the battery to die. So without further ado, time skip go. Okay, we're back. It is inside the car now. Look at that guy, you can just barely see him. I did follow what some of the comment section said, and I don't know, you guys might be right, you might be wrong. Case in point, we will see. Yeah, we're still clicking, which is a little bit strange. So what I'm gonna do is put a ground wire from the starter block, you know, the aluminum block that mounts it to the engine. I'm going to ground that wire to the frame somewhere. All right, so what we've done here is taken a section of the frame, ground it down a little bit, and connected that to the block on the starter, somewhere in there. We'll see if that's enough to bypass the electrical resistance. If not, I can grind this down more, because that should be all that's stopping it at this point. I've done everything else I can. Also, personal protection gloves. They save your hands once and once only. Bad news. We're a little low on volts, but I don't think that's what's stopping us. So it has to be something else. See, what's weird, the old starter would work intermittently. You'd start it and it would disengage and kick back. You'd try it again and disengage and kick back. And every now and then it would finally interlock with the flywheel. But now this one doesn't want to move at all. And I have checked. I've been down there when it's been, you know, key on. It doesn't push out at all. But it does that when it's off the car. Why? I don't know. I'm gonna loosen those bolts and see if that makes any difference. I posted it to Facebook. Do you think they'll know what's wrong? Do you think the Facebook knows what's wrong with my truck? It's hot outside. He doesn't like it being hot outside. I moved his water. You know, I've kind of just been letting it ride for a little while, you know, thinking maybe I can get it to line up, and it should line up. I'm starting to see what the problem is. Do you see that right there? I don't know if you can see it super well on camera. We're actually hitting the housing. I didn't think that was possible, but we are hitting the housing, so I have to figure out how to get that to not do that. Customer states customer is me. Customer is an idiot. Customer is correct. There's a Black Hawk helicopter over my head, so that's kind of fun. This is kind of in here now. This bolt needs to go in more. This one needs to come out more so that this can go in more. And then, judging by how those gears look, I know the flash isn't on, hold on. Judging by how those gears look, we're gonna have to do a bit of shimming. But we might be able to make this work. There's a point where you hit mental exhaustion with a project. I'm about to hit that point. So, for the better of everyone here, I'm not gonna record that. I'll fix it. I'm not gonna record it until it's fixed.